What is really hidden beneath those ancient stones, inside thousand-year-old wooden statues, or even beneath the stardust buried deep in the deserts of Australia? All around our planet, there are age-old mysteries that modern science still cannot fully explain. From the frozen stone circles of Scotland to the mysterious symbols on tiny papyrus fragments from ancient Egypt, each artifact opens a door back to a distant past, to a time when great civilizations once flourished and left their indelible mark on the world. So fasten your seatbelt as we dive into today's mystery. But first, you'll have incredible luck if you like and subscribe before this video ends. Pirates and the Pope. Secret files in the Vatican archives. The story begins with the death of the Bishop of Lisbon, Felipe de Castillon. After he passed away, his religious belongings were placed on a ship to be sent to France. This journey was meant to transfer sacred items to a destination designated by the church's wishes. However, as the ship traveled through the waters near Cartagena, its fate suddenly changed. A pair of pirate ships blocked its path, led by a pirate known as Antonio Firefart. While this name sounds amusing in modern translation, his original nickname was Bafok, an old word that can be understood as burst of fire or strong blaze, not the misleading meaning it might have today. In any case, this pirate was no joke. He and his crew quickly attacked the church's treasure ship and made off with all the valuable cargo. However, the pirates' escape did not last long. When they landed near the town of Aigues Mortes in southern France, an unexpected tide left their ship stranded. The local militia quickly organized a pursuit, and the pirates were surrounded right on the beach. Every sailor on the ship, including Antonio Bafok, was executed on the spot. This story was once recorded only in the internal notes of the church and kept in the Vatican Apostolic Archive. It was not until recently, during a round of inventory, that an old forgotten copy was discovered and made public. The faded lines recounted every detail of the robbery, from the place of origin, the bishop's name, the treasure on board, to the tragic end of those who dared to steal from the church. This is not just a story about pirates. This document also opens another perspective on the power and influence of the Vatican in the 14th century. At that time, transporting religious wealth by sea was not only a matter of ceremony, but also a political act that could easily become a target for opposing forces. Medieval medicine and the urine wheel. If you think that urine tests are only a product of modern medicine, you might be surprised to learn that this method has actually existed for a very long time. Back in the Middle Ages, doctors had a special way to diagnose illness called the urine wheel. It might sound strange now, but at the time, this method actually helped save many lives. The urine wheel first appeared in 1506 and was used by a German doctor named Ulrich Pinder. It was a chart divided into 20 different sections, each one representing a specific color of urine. Doctors of that era used this wheel to analyze a patient's health in a very detailed and careful way. But it didn't stop at just looking at color. Medieval doctors would even taste and smell a patient's urine to make their diagnoses more accurate. While that sounds unsanitary by today's standards, it was actually a very advanced and effective technique for its time. By observing signs like urine color, doctors could identify many different illnesses, including serious infections and diabetes. In particular, the ability to detect diabetes through the sweetness of urine was a breakthrough, especially in an age without modern medical devices. These methods, although simple, were extremely effective and show just how smart and creative early doctors could be when it came to taking care of people's health. Even though modern medicine has changed a lot, we can't deny the importance and historical value of these unique medical inventions. The urine wheels themselves may be long gone, but they were once an essential part of the development of medicine and helped pave the way for the diagnostic techniques we still use today. The mystery of the fate of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. When it comes to the Wild West, almost everyone has heard of Butch Cassidy and his close friend, the Sundance Kid. These were two famous outlaws whose daring bank and train robberies once captured the attention of the entire nation. Even though the law chased them across prairies and western towns, The story of how their lives ended remains one of the greatest mysteries from that era. At the start of the 20th century, as the law tightened its grip, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid tried to find a way out of America. In 1901, they boarded a ship to Argentina, carrying hopes of a new life without the constant fear of being hunted. In this foreign land, they chose new names. Butch Cassidy became Santiago Maxwell, and Sundance took the name James Ryan. They bought a small ranch in Patagonia and tried to live like real farmers, but the past didn't let them rest for long. After only a few years, the pressure from old wanted posters and the arrival of international detectives forced Butch and Sundance back into crime. Their bold robberies began again, this time not only in Argentina, but also in Chile and Bolivia. Life on the run couldn't last forever. By November 1908, their journey brought Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid to a small village called San Vicente, deep in Bolivia. By then, word of their presence had spread throughout the region, and the Bolivian army was sent out to catch these notorious outlaws. When night fell, the village was tightly surrounded, and a fierce gunfight broke out. Locals later recalled that the sound of gunfire lasted through the night. When soldiers entered the next morning, they found two bodies in a small house. One had suffered severe injuries, while the other appeared to have taken his own life. But no one could say for sure if those two really were Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Soon after, news of their deaths spread across South America and the United States, yet no solid proof was ever found. Some believe that Butch Cassidy survived the shootout and quietly returned to America. There were stories that in 1925, Cassidy showed up in Utah under the name William Phillips and lived in Washington state until the 1930s. Even his own sister once claimed that Butch came back to see the family after years of being missing. Some people have even said they have Cassidy's own autobiography, describing in detail the final years of his life under a new identity. Nearly a century has passed, but the mystery of the death of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid has never truly been solved. Did they die in that shootout, or did they simply disappear forever? The alien mummy of ancient China. At an archaeological site in the Inner Mongolia region of China, researchers from Inner Mongolia University made a discovery that was as surprising as it was ancient: a tomb more than 1,500 years old. This find was not only remarkable because of its age, but also because of what was found inside. The tomb dated back to the Northern Wei period and is believed to have been the final resting place of a person of very high status. As the excavation team dug deeper, they uncovered the mummy of a man buried with many valuable gold ornaments. The body was wrapped in layers of golden silk, but the researchers had not yet unwrapped the fabric to study it further. What caught the attention of archaeologists most was the set of objects buried alongside the mummy. Among them was a silver bowl engraved with images of ancient Greek gods, a detail that is extremely unusual in a Chinese or Mongolian tomb of this age. This discovery has raised many questions about the origins and journey of these artifacts. Around the area, at least 6 other tombs were found, possibly belonging to members of the main figure's family. All date back to the Northern Wei period and suggest that they were part of a noble lineage. Some researchers believe that the man in the central tomb may have been a leader of the Gaoju people, a group that once controlled much of northern China and Mongolia. The Gaoju were known for their control of key routes along the Silk Road, which could explain the appearance of distant artifacts such as those from Greece. Scientists believe these items may have reached the region through the complex trade networks stretching across Asia. The coffin holding the mummy was also quite special. Made of wood, it was decorated with bright, colorful paintings. On the lid was an illustration of a house with a blue roof and red columns, surrounded by images of a person sitting or standing with attendants. These details only add to the mystery of the man's identity and background. Although some theories suggest that the mummy has an inhuman appearance, leading to the nickname alien mummy, there is still no scientific evidence to support this idea. Even so, the mix of ancient Chinese elements, Greek influence, and the unusual appearance of the mummy has turned this story into one of the most intriguing archaeological finds in recent years. The mysterious shipwreck in Latvia. One October day, people living along the Baltic coast in Latvia stumbled upon a strange sight. Sticking up from the sand were many wooden planks, which at first looked like nothing more than debris from some structure washed ashore by the waves. But when a group of locals got closer to investigate, they were astonished to discover that these were actually the remains of a wooden ship, about 40 feet long. Archaeological experts quickly became involved and identified the find as the wreck of an old ship from the 19th century. According to their initial analysis, the ship had been built from oak and joined together with copper nails. This construction matches the shipbuilding style of the British Royal Navy from the late 18th to the early 19th century. The ship had also once been sheathed with copper plates along its outer hull. These copper sheets not only made the vessel more durable, but also protected the wood from saltwater corrosion and damage by marine organisms. This was a technical feature found only on ships built for long journeys and harsh ocean conditions. With its sturdy structure and specialized design, the ship is thought to have been used for commercial or military purposes. It was strong enough to withstand the heavy waves of the Baltic and North Seas, and may even have sailed as far as the tropics on long voyages. The discovery has attracted attention from both specialists and the public. Authorities at the Latvian National Cultural Heritage Agency stated that preserving the shipwreck will require a lot of time and money, since ancient wood begins to deteriorate quickly once exposed to air. Even so, the Latvian government has committed to supporting efforts to preserve this valuable artifact. The armored dinosaur with an Aztec axe tail in Chile. In the region of Patagonia, in southern Chile, paleontologists have unearthed a strange creature that once roamed the Earth around 72 to 75 million years ago. This animal is a previously unknown species of armored dinosaur, and it has been named Stegosaurus elengason. What makes this species stand out is its tail, which resembles an Aztec axe, a distinctive ancient weapon of the Aztec people. Unlike other well-known armored dinosaurs like Ankylosaurus or Stegosaurus, the tail of Stegosaurus wasn't just for defense, it could actually deliver powerful blows. It was much shorter than the typical dinosaur tail, but was built from a flat, solid structure, almost like a blade made of bone. Stegosaurus elengason measured about 2 meters long, making it relatively small compared to other armored dinosaurs. Even so, it had a thick, sturdy layer of armor covering most of its body. Researchers believe it belonged to the Ankylosaur family, a group of herbivorous dinosaurs known for their bony plates and strong defensive abilities. But interestingly, Stegosaurus represents an evolutionary path completely different from its relatives in the northern hemisphere. This discovery shows that ankylosaurs evolved in very different ways after the supercontinent Pangaea broke apart about 200 million years ago. While northern species in places like North America and Asia grew large and developed club-like tails, southern species like Stegosaurus developed tail weapons that looked more like blades. This is clear evidence of the remarkable biodiversity that once existed in this region. The fossils of Stegosaurus were found near an ancient river in what was likely once a swamp. Based on how well the skeleton was preserved, researchers suspect the animal may have died after getting trapped in mud or swept away by fast-moving water, which buried its body and created ideal conditions for fossilization. This discovery not only expands our understanding of dinosaurs in the southern hemisphere, but also adds a fascinating chapter to the story of how armored creatures evolved. The axe-shaped tail of Stegosaurus is proof of nature's creativity, a reminder that every species found its own way to survive in the dangerous world of the Cretaceous period. The skeletons on the pirate ship, Whydah Galley, of Black Sam. Off the coast of Massachusetts, archaeologists have uncovered a mystery that lay buried beneath the ocean for over 260 years. These are the remains of the Whydah Galley, a legendary ship once owned by Samuel Bellamy, the infamous pirate still known to history as Black Sam. In recent excavations, researchers found 6 human skeletons scattered among the wreckage, and one of them may very well be Bellamy himself. Samuel Bellamy was born in 1689 in England and later moved to Massachusetts in 1715. At first, he was known as a sailor searching for treasure, but it wasn't long before he became one of the most successful pirates in history. In the summer of 1716, in just a few short months, he captured more than 50 ships and quickly earned a reputation as the richest captain of the golden age of piracy. The Whydah galley was originally an English slave ship, but after Bellamy took it, the ship was refitted for large-scale raids. It had spacious holds to carry weapons, as well as all the spoils seized from captured ships. But the fate of the Whydah galley turned tragic on April 17, 1717. During a violent storm near the town of Wellfleet, the ship ran aground and sank to the bottom of the sea, taking the entire crew with it. Since the wreck was discovered in 1984 by explorer Barry Clifford, more than 200,000 artifacts have been recovered, including weapons, coins, personal items, and most recently, human bones. Among the skeletons found was a leg bone that may belong to Captain Bellamy himself. Although the identities have not yet been confirmed, the research team hopes that modern DNA analysis will help solve the mystery. If they really do find the remains of Black Sam, it would be one of the most significant discoveries in pirate history. The pirate cannon of Blackbeard. Near the waters off Beaufort, archaeologists have recovered a truly remarkable historical artifact. A cannon weighing over 900 kilograms that once belonged to the notorious pirate Blackbeard. Blackbeard, whose real name was Edward Teach, is remembered as one of the most feared pirates in history. His ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, was a symbol of his power and brutality across the Atlantic. The cannon that was recently found is still covered in barnacles and a thick layer of rust, showing that it has lain undisturbed on the ocean floor for more than 3 centuries. Even so, despite the wear of time, the cannon still carries the menacing presence of an era when pirates ruled the seas. This cannon is part of the ongoing effort to recover artifacts from the Queen Anne's Revenge project. So far, the team has collected around 280,000 items from the shipwreck, but the nearly 1-ton cannon remains one of the most impressive and significant finds. Along with the cannon, archaeologists have also discovered many other objects that reveal the daily life of the pirate crew. Medical tools like scalpels and forceps, glazed bowls and plates, as well as smaller weapons like daggers, broken swords, and lead shot have all been found. They even recovered iron shackles once used to imprison slaves. Experts say that the Queen Anne's Revenge was originally a French slave ship. Blackbeard captured it in 1717 and refitted the entire vessel with dozens of cannons, transforming it into a true war machine. In just 6 short months, he used this ship to spread terror along the Atlantic coast, even blockading Charleston's port for a week and taking anything he wanted. Finally, in 1718, the ship ran aground near an inlet close to Beaufort. Blackbeard himself was killed a few months later by naval forces from Virginia. From then on, the Queen Anne's Revenge remained buried in the sand until it was rediscovered in 1996. Today, each cannon recovered is a vivid piece of a dark yet fascinating era, the golden age of pirates in the Caribbean and along the American East Coast. Ancient Roman soldier's mask in Turkey. In the Karabük region of northern Turkey, archaeologists excavating the ancient city of Hadrianopolis made a rare discovery. They found a piece of an iron mask that once belonged to a Roman cavalryman nearly 1,800 years ago. This mask still carries enough detail to help experts clearly picture a period when Rome was working to strengthen its hold on the eastern edge of the empire. Hadrianopolis was founded in the 1st century BC and later became a key military stronghold during the Roman Empire. The city was once famous for its ancient churches and as the birthplace of Saint Alypius, one of the most renowned Christian hermits in history. But behind this beauty was a strict defensive system. As the Roman Empire began to weaken, this land became part of the strategy to defend the eastern border against invasions from the Black Sea region. It was in this context that the Iron Mask is believed to have belonged to a Roman cavalryman who served in the military unit stationed at Hadrianopolis. Masks like this were often used to protect soldiers in battle, but they could also serve to demonstrate the power and authority of the Roman army. The artifact was found in an area thought to have been a military camp or soldiers' barracks. Even though the mask has been damaged over time, the remaining features are enough for archaeologists to reconstruct its original shape. This helps researchers better understand how Roman soldiers were equipped and how their military was organized in the late 3rd century. The discovery of the mask at Hadrianopolis highlights the strategic importance of the city in Rome's defense system, and it also offers a glimpse into the lives and identities of the soldiers who once served there. They were not just warriors far from home. They were living witnesses to an era now long past in history. The treasure of pirate Captain Kidd. Marine explorers have discovered a silver bar weighing up to 9 pounds, gleaming in the sunlight as it was lifted from the ocean floor. What makes this find so remarkable is not just the value of the metal itself, but its legendary connection to one of the most notorious pirates in history, William Kidd, better known as Captain Kidd. Captain Kidd was once a sailor commissioned by the British authorities to fight piracy. But instead of protecting the shipping lanes, he quickly became one of the most dangerous pirates of the 17th century. His famous ship, the Adventure Galley, was his main warship. Fully armed, well-manned, and equipped with plenty of space to hold plundered goods from across the Indian Ocean. Marine archaeologists believe that this silver bar was once part of the treasure that filled the holds of the Adventure Galley. Even though only a single bar has been found, researchers think it is just the tip of the iceberg. They believe the rest of the treasure may still be buried under sediment or scattered across the sea floor after the shipwreck. The silver bar was presented to the president of Madagascar as proof of the great cultural and historical value of the discovery. Archaeologists hope that further excavation will bring up more artifacts and help confirm stories that were once thought to be only legend. Captain Kidd was captured and executed in London in 1701. Before his death, he was charged with treason and piracy. But legend has it that he hid treasure in many different places, from the Caribbean to the coast of North America, and possibly even in Madagascar. To this day, the question of where Kidd's entire treasure is hidden remains unsolved. With this new discovery, marine explorers now have fresh hope that one day they might finally uncover Captain Kidd's lost fortune. The mystery of the construction of the Giza Pyramid. In 2013, a remarkable discovery helped us better understand the ancient secrets of Egypt. During a joint excavation, French and Egyptian archaeologists found precious papyrus fragments inside a cave near the ancient port of Wadi el Jarf, along the Red Sea. These documents weren't modern blueprints with precise drawings like we have today, but rather detailed work logs written by an inspector named Merer. Merer was the person responsible for overseeing the transportation of limestone, the main material used in the construction of the pyramid. According to his records, the limestone was quarried from a large site at Tura, not far from the pyramid itself. After being extracted, these massive stone blocks were loaded onto large boats that sailed along the Nile River. To make transportation more efficient, the Egyptians dug an entire network of canals, allowing boats to carry the stone directly from the port to the construction site. Each trip took about 3 days, a surprisingly short journey considering the technology of over 4,500 years ago. The Giza Pyramid is not only enormous in size, but it's also a remarkable achievement in perseverance. This monumental structure was built over about 23 years and completed around 2560 BC during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu. Merer's documents have provided clear evidence that the pyramid was built entirely by the hands of ordinary workers. This finding is highly significant because it disproves earlier mysterious theories about aliens or supernatural powers, which were once very popular. Thanks to Merer's careful day-by-day records, we can now vividly picture the lives of ancient Egyptians, people with skill, intelligence, and determination who managed to create a wonder that still amazes the world to this day. Mount Kailash and the theory of an ancient nuclear plant. Amid the snow-capped peaks of Tibet, Mount Kailash stands as a sacred symbol. It is the source of some of the world's great religions: Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and Bon. For thousands of years, this mountain has drawn pilgrims and researchers alike, each with their own unanswered questions. But what truly makes Kailash mysterious is not just its deep spiritual meaning, but also the strange theories surrounding the mountain's true origins. One of the most controversial theories suggests that inside Mount Kailash, there might be an ancient nuclear reactor. Researchers who support this idea have pointed to some surprising evidence, such as the discovery of nuclear ash and traces of radiation found on bodies recovered near the mountain. These unusual signs have led some to believe that Kailash is no ordinary mountain. In addition, Mount Kailash is shaped very much like a giant pyramid, fueling bold speculation that it was built as a colossal energy machine. This theory links Kailash with other ancient pyramids around the world, from Egypt to Central America, places that also hold similar mysteries. According to some researchers, these pyramids may have been constructed as soul portals or energy stations intended to connect the Earth to other realms in the universe. While these theories may sound far-fetched, they continue to fascinate many who are passionate about history and mystery. To this day, Mount Kailash remains one of the most sacred and enigmatic places on Earth, inspiring those who search for the truth, century after century. The Wendigo Tragedy, Swift Runner and Wendigo Psychosis, Canada, 1879. On a spring morning in 1879, the air around the Catholic mission in St. Albert was still quiet after a long, harsh winter. It was in this silence that a man appeared at the mission gate, moving quietly but carrying a weight that could not be seen. This was Swift Runner, a member of the nearby Cree tribe. When the priests opened the door, they immediately sensed that Swift Runner was not simply there seeking help. His eyes seemed to reflect a fear that no outsider could truly understand. Swift Runner said that his family had suffered through terrible hunger the previous winter. He told the priest that everyone in his household had died of starvation and that he was the only survivor. That winter in Canada had indeed been brutal, and many other Indigenous communities also faced severe food shortages. However, the priests grew even more suspicious as they observed Swift Runner closely. Despite his claims of starvation, his body showed none of the signs typical of someone who had gone months without food. He looked healthy, even stronger than most people in the area. During the nights that followed Swift Runner's arrival at the mission, the priests often heard terrifying screams coming from his room. These were not the cries of physical pain, but sounded more like battles with inner demons. Each time, Swift Runner would awaken with a dazed look in his eyes, as if there was always something inside him that could not be explained. The sense of unease at the mission kept growing until Swift Runner finally confessed to the priests that he had been possessed by the Wendigo, a monster from the mythology of the northern indigenous tribes. The Wendigo is a spirit that represents evil and the desperate urge to eat human flesh during times of extreme hunger. For the Cree and many other peoples, the Wendigo is not just a story to frighten children, but a real fear, especially during freezing winters when food runs out. Swift Runner's confession deeply alarmed the priests. They decided to alert the local authorities to investigate the truth behind his strange story. When police began their search and visited Swift Runner's home, they found a scene that no one could have imagined. His entire family had not died of starvation, but had been brutally killed. The remains showed clear signs of being butchered and even eaten. This discovery left investigators and the community in shock. Confronted with the undeniable evidence, Swift Runner eventually confessed. He admitted that he had killed his wife and children and eaten their flesh during the darkest days of winter. According to him, only one person in the family had actually died from starvation. The rest had fallen victim to his own madness. Swift Runner claimed that what he did was not of his own will, but was the work of the Wendigo spirit controlling him. What made the tragedy even more heartbreaking for the local people was that Swift Runner had once been a respected member of the community. He was educated, had worked for the Hudson's Bay Company, and had served as a guide for the Northwest Mounted Police. Before the tragedy, he was someone many trusted and looked up to. After his arrest, Western experts diagnosed Swift Runner with Wendigo psychosis, a rare psychological disorder in which the sufferer believes they are possessed by the Wendigo spirit and feel compelled to eat human flesh to survive. In the end, Swift Runner was sentenced to death and hanged for what he had done. The story of Swift Runner remains one of the strangest and most chilling cases in Canadian history. Even today, the case still haunts many, serving as a reminder that the line between an ordinary person and the monsters of legend can sometimes be frighteningly thin. Stone Age technological advances in Scandinavia. About 6,000 years ago, an ancient culture known as the Funnel Beaker people made a major leap in construction technology that would completely change prehistoric life. The earliest members of this culture were not just hunters and gatherers, they also built the first sturdy houses ever seen in the Scandinavian region. These special houses stood out not only for their solid structures above ground, but also because they featured basements. To construct these underground spaces, the Funnel Beaker people used a special building material called loam, a mixture of clay and sand. Loam could maintain stable temperatures, creating perfect conditions for storing and preserving food during the harsh, long winters of Northern Europe. This basement building technique allowed people of that time to preserve food more effectively. In summer, the basements kept food from spoiling in the heat. In winter, they protected it from freezing. This wasn't just a simple technical improvement, it was a real revolution for ancient people, helping them settle down and grow stronger as a society. This invention proves that prehistoric people were no less creative or adaptable than we are today. In fact, building methods using loam still exist to this day, a testament to their lasting value and effectiveness. The Funnel Beaker culture laid important groundwork for later advances in construction, helping to raise human life to a whole new level. The invention of writing in Mesopotamia. One of the greatest breakthroughs in human history took place in ancient Mesopotamia, a land often called the cradle of civilization. It was in the city of Uruk, in what is now Iraq, that people first invented writing around 3350 BC. This writing system was known as cuneiform, or wedge-shaped script, a name that has become recognized worldwide. However, before cuneiform writing appeared, the people of Mesopotamia used cylinder seals instead of written words. These seals were usually made of clay and carved with simple symbols. When rolled across a soft clay surface, the seals left clear impressions, making it possible to manage goods, record transactions, and share information accurately. The symbols on the earliest cylinder seals were quite simple, but over time, they became more complex, reflecting the intellectual growth of people in that era. These symbols were the direct ancestors of the first writing system. What began as a way to manage everyday goods evolved into cuneiform, a powerful tool for recording history. Thanks to writing, people could, for the first time, accurately record knowledge and information. This was a major turning point that elevated human society to a whole new level. The invention of writing in Mesopotamia truly opened the door to the entire history of human culture that we inherit today. The death and legend of Wild Bill Hickok's Dead Man's Hand. On a sweltering August day in 1876, the town of Deadwood in the Dakota Territory was as lively as ever. In a crowded saloon, Wild Bill Hickok, a legendary gunslinger known throughout the American West, was sitting at a table playing cards with some familiar faces. Hickok was famous not just for his shooting skills, but also for his cold, piercing eyes, long hair, and unmatched presence. Sitting across from Hickok was Jack McCall, a man of little reputation, known mostly for losing money at the card table and for his personal grudge against Hickok. After another losing hand, McCall was clearly upset. When the game ended, Hickok took out his wallet and gave McCall some money for breakfast, never suspecting that this small gesture would be the last thing he ever did for his opponent. The next morning, events unfolded quickly and ended in tragedy. Hickok sat down at the poker table with his back to the door, a break from his usual habit of watching the room. Suddenly, McCall entered the saloon, walked up behind Hickok, and shot him in the head. The famous gunslinger collapsed on the spot. His life ended instantly by a single cold shot from behind. Jack McCall was brought to trial. The first time, he escaped conviction thanks to a hasty frontier trial and the loose laws of the day. However, he was later arrested again, and this time received a death sentence. He was hanged in March 1877. But what made Hickok's death truly immortal in American memory wasn't just his sudden end, but also the cards he was holding at that fateful moment. People say that Hickok died holding 2 black aces and 2 black eights, a dead man's hand. Over the years, the exact makeup of this hand changed many times. At one point, it was said to be a full house with jacks and tens. At another time, jacks and sevens. It wasn't until the 1926 book, Wild Bill Hickok, the Prince of Pistoliers, that the dead man's hand was firmly identified as 2 black aces and 2 black eights. Through generations, the dead man's hand has become more than just a poker legend. It stands as a symbol of fate, surprise, and the adventurous spirit of the American West. These cards appear on police badges in Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and even in the US military. Today, in Deadwood, the police still wear this symbol as a proud part of their local history. The invention of the first wheel. Among the countless important inventions of humanity, the wheel stands out as one of the greatest breakthroughs. It's hard to imagine what life would be like today without this invention. The earliest evidence of humans using wheels comes from the Carpathian Mountains region around 3900 BC. In those early days, primitive wheels were simply round wooden logs used to move heavy objects, greatly reducing the effort required to transport goods. Over time, people gradually improved the wheel, creating more convenient versions with clearer structures that could roll easily over different terrains. One of the oldest and clearest pieces of evidence for the wheel was discovered in the Ljubljana marshes. This wheel is about 5,350 years old and is still considered the oldest wheel ever found. The Ljubljana marshes wheel was made with impressive craftsmanship, showing the remarkable technical progress of ancient humans. A square hole was carefully carved into the center so the wheel could be attached to an axle, making transport even easier and more efficient. Thanks to the invention of the wheel, human civilization was able to grow and spread, giving rise to many diverse cultures around the world. Today, we still use upgraded versions of this ancient invention every day, from the cars we drive to work to the modern technology we rely on. That's why the wheel is considered one of the most important inventions in human history. Dolmen of Menga, the mysterious megalithic monument of Spain. Hidden among the ancient and sun-drenched lands of southern Spain stands one of the most mysterious and impressive megalithic structures in the world, the Dolmen of Menga. This is no ordinary monument, but a gigantic ancient tomb built thousands of years ago from massive stone blocks. The Dolmen of Menga stretches 27 meters in length, about 6 meters wide, and over 3 meters high, a size so immense that anyone standing before it cannot help but be amazed. What makes the Dolmen of Menga truly special is not just its enormous size, but also the staggering weight of the stones used in its construction. Some of these huge blocks weigh up to 200 tons, more than twice the weight of the largest stones used in Egypt's Great Pyramid of Giza. This raises a challenging question. How did ancient people manage to transport and precisely arrange such colossal stones? The mystery deepens when archaeologists excavated the interior of the Dolmen of Menga and found hundreds of human skeletons carefully buried inside. This discovery only adds to the curiosity about the true purpose of this enigmatic structure. Was it simply a collective tomb, or did it have a deeper spiritual meaning, perhaps serving as a site for special rituals dedicated to the gods? To this day, the Dolmen of Menga continues to astonish scientists and visitors from around the world. This monument stands as vivid proof of the extraordinary capabilities of prehistoric people, a clear testament that even in ancient times, humans possessed remarkable knowledge of geology, physics, and engineering. And while many of the secrets of the Dolmen of Menga remain unsolved, it will forever capture the imagination of those who love history and the mysteries of the ancient world. Dangerous toxins in ancient metallurgy. During the Bronze Age, when humans first discovered and mastered the art of metallurgy, a major revolution took place. Thanks to bronze tools, ancient societies were able to progress rapidly, creating powerful weapons and sharp tools for daily life. However, this technology also carried a hidden danger that people of the time did not fully understand. To make bronze harder and more durable, ancient metalworkers added arsenic to pure copper. This process produced an alloy called arsenic bronze, which was widely used in many ancient civilizations. But arsenic is extremely toxic, and those who worked with this metal day after day suffered from poisoning. Over time, many ancient smiths developed serious health problems, muscle weakness, loss of sensation in their limbs, and even permanent deformities caused by constant exposure to the poison. Interestingly, the consequences of this toxic technology were reflected in ancient myths and legends. Gods of the forge in many famous cultures, like Hephaestus in Greece and Ilmarinen in Finland, all shared a common feature. They were depicted as disabled. For example, Hephaestus, the renowned Greek god of blacksmiths, was described as limping, with twisted legs and a misshapen face. This image may well have been an accurate reflection of the tragic outcomes faced by smiths who worked with arsenic bronze. Looking back at history, we now realize that ancient metallurgy was both a tremendous step forward and a hidden danger to human health. The disabled smith gods of legend quietly tell us the story of the price that was paid for technological progress. The descendants of Genghis Khan, the greatest genetic legacy in history. Genghis Khan, the legendary emperor of the Mongol Empire, is remembered not only for his vast conquests stretching from Asia to Europe, but also for leaving behind a genetic legacy that continues to amaze the modern world. Centuries after his death, scientists discovered that his mark remains clearly visible in the DNA of millions living across Central and Eastern Asia today. Large-scale genetic studies conducted in recent decades have shown that as many as 16 million people worldwide are direct male line descendants of Genghis Khan. This finding is based mainly on the analysis of the Y chromosome, a genetic marker passed only from father to son and which changes very little from generation to generation. The results are truly astonishing, making Genghis Khan one of the most influential individuals in human genetic history. Genghis Khan was famous for his absolute power and his extremely large number of wives and concubines. He had at least 6 principal wives and hundreds of consorts, most of them princesses, noblewomen, or women from conquered territories. Maintaining and spreading his bloodline was not only a personal desire, but also a deliberate strategy to strengthen his family's power. Today, regions that were once under Mongol control still show a much higher proportion of men carrying Genghis Khan's genetic signature than elsewhere. Many scientists believe this is living proof of the lasting impact one individual can have on humanity, an influence far beyond any military or cultural achievement. The story of Genghis Khan's descendants is more than a historical fact. It is a testament to the extraordinary power of genetics in connecting our present to the distant past. Pluto's Gate in Turkey, a real-life gateway to the underworld. In the ancient land of Hierapolis, in what is now modern-day Turkey, there exists a mysterious monument that has haunted people for thousands of years. This is Pluto's Gate, also known as the Gate of Pluto. The site is not only tied to legends of the underworld from Greek mythology, but it is also a strange scientific phenomenon that still amazes modern researchers. Pluto's Gate was built as a small temple situated over a deep geological fissure in the earth. From this crack, an invisible but deadly gas continuously rises, blanketing the entire area around the gate. In ancient times, people believed this was the boundary between the world of the living and the realm of the dead, a place where only souls could pass through unharmed. Ancient records show that visitors once traveled to Pluto's Gate to witness a bizarre spectacle. Any animal brought near the gate, whether a small bird or a household pet, would quickly collapse and die within minutes. Only the temple priests, who knew the secrets of the gas and how long to remain inside, could safely enter and exit without harm. Today, science has revealed that the mysterious gas is actually concentrated carbon dioxide, which accumulates in the low-lying areas and cannot escape. When small animals come into contact with such high levels of the gas, they quickly suffocate, while adults are less affected simply because they stand taller. Still, the blend of mythology and reality gives Pluto's gate an aura of mystery, making it a place where the boundary between life and death seems thinner than anywhere else on Earth. Pluto's gate is not only a testament to the intelligence and vivid imagination of ancient people, but also a reminder that things once thought supernatural may have explanations very close to real life. The Giants of India, the Standing Stones of Nartiang. If you've ever thought Stonehenge was a rare wonder, imagine a misty hill in northeast India where hundreds of massive stone pillars stand crowded together like ancient warriors silently guarding the passage of time. This is the town of Nartiang in the state of Meghalaya, where these upright stones have become an inseparable part of the local landscape. Many of the stones at Nartiang rise over 25 feet tall. That's as high as 3 elephants stacked on top of each other, or about 150 tacos piled into a single column. Locals call these stones menhirs, and to them, these are far more than just lifeless rocks. According to Jaintia legend, long ago there was a giant named Mar Falinki who brought these enormous stones to the village. The story goes that on a stormy day, Mar Falinki was caught in the rain while returning from the market. When he asked the village chief's daughter to lend him an umbrella, she teased him. "Why not use that big stone as your umbrella?" The giant took up the challenge, lifted the massive stone over his head, and carried it all the way home. When the rain stopped, he dropped the stone at the edge of the forest, and that spot soon became the village's new market. Over time, the villagers began setting up more standing stones around the area, creating a scene where hundreds of stone pillars rise from the mist. But archaeologists offer a different explanation for this mystery. They have found that the ancient Jaintia community once had a tradition of erecting menhirs to honor the dead and to mark major village festivals. These stones may have once been collective burial sites or places for religious rituals and celebrations. Modern history has left its mark on Nartiang as well. In the 19th century, after being defeated by the British, the last king of the Jaintia was exiled to this place. His summer palace sits close to the stone fields, adding another layer of intrigue to the site. Whether you believe in the legend of giants or in the power of ancient human hands to create these monuments, Nartiang remains one of the most mysterious places in all of India. Strange rituals in Israel, Tel Gezer. Not far from the modern city of Tel Aviv, you'll find a dry landscape where the traces of an ancient civilization still quietly endure. This is Tel Gezer, an archaeological site that was once a major center of culture in the Middle East. As you arrive, you'll immediately notice the massive upright stone pillars, each nearly 20 feet tall, lined up like silent guardians across the grasslands. Archaeologists have determined that around 10 of these stone pillars were erected as far back as 3000 BC, more than 5,000 years ago. What makes this site so mysterious is the true purpose behind these pillars. Some theories suggest they served as markers for important religious events, places where ancient communities would gather to sign treaties or even conduct sacrificial rituals that remain controversial to this day. Whenever archaeologists dig deeper into the layers of earth at Tel Gezer, they uncover clues that are both fascinating and chilling. At the base of the pillars, they have found the remains of children buried in clay jars, along with a large stone basin that many believe may have once been used as an altar for mysterious ceremonies. Such scenes bring to mind an era when the line between spiritual life and dark ritual was still very thin. Even today, researchers continue to debate the true meaning of the stone pillars at Tel Gezer. Was this simply a place for grand religious ceremonies, or did it once witness the kind of unsettling sacrifices that history has tried to forget? The mystery of papyrus, Oxyrhynchus, 90, Egypt. Amid the golden sands of Egypt, where every layer of earth might hide a secret from ancient times, archaeologists discovered a small piece of papyrus that raises more questions than it answers. This fragment is known as Papyrus Oxyrhynchus 90, named after the ancient city of Oxyrhynchus where it was found, and the catalog number researchers have assigned to each ancient manuscript. At first glance, this papyrus seems entirely ordinary. Neat lines of ancient Greek are written across its surface, recording a wheat transaction that took place nearly 2,000 years ago. Most would think of it as just a simple receipt, one tiny part of the bustling flow of commerce in the ancient world. But what has puzzled researchers are the final 2 lines of the manuscript. There, a series of unusual characters appear, bearing no resemblance to any known form of Greek writing. For years, no one has been able to decipher their true meaning. Some experts believe it is a type of code written intentionally to hide important information from prying eyes. Others guess these might be esoteric symbols carrying religious or mystical meanings that only insiders would understand. Whatever the truth may be, Papyrus Oxyrhynchus 90 remains one of the clearest examples that the past always holds layers of mystery that the present struggles to reach. Just one small piece of paper, yet it continues to trouble modern scholars and raises the question, how many more secrets are still lying dormant among the yellowed pages of human history? Sunken treasure, the Bom Jesus shipwreck, Namibia. Along the wild coastline of Namibia, where the sea breeze always carries a salty tang and whispers of old mysteries, one of the most valuable archaeological treasures of the century was discovered. The story began in 2008, when a diamond mine worker happened to stumble upon fragments of wood, metal, and ancient coins scattered across the golden sand. Archaeologists were quickly called in, and what they uncovered was the wreck of a 16th century Portuguese ship, the Bom Jesus, meaning Good Jesus. What lay buried beneath the sand stunned the entire world. Inside the rotting hull were thousands of pure gold coins from Spain and Portugal, along with dozens of tons of copper ingots and many other precious artifacts. It is believed that this ship left port in Lisbon, bound for India, but never made it to its intended destination. According to historical records, the Bom Jesus vanished without a trace around 1533, only to resurface over 400 years later, brought to light by the storms of time and the chance hands of modern people. The appearance of this vast gold hoard immediately sparked fierce debate over rightful ownership. Who is the legitimate owner of this treasure? The Namibian state, the people who found it, or the European nations from which the ship originally set sail? To this day, the final fate of the gold and silver aboard the Bom Jesus remains an unanswered question. The story of the shipwreck and its mysterious treasure in Namibia is not just a lesson about wealth, loss, and the passage of time. It is proof that history always finds ways to hide its greatest wonders in places few would expect. And sometimes, true treasures only reveal themselves when all of us, legally and with human curiosity, are finally ready to face them. The relics of the Catacomb Saints, Rome. Deep beneath the ancient city of Rome, hidden under its bustling streets, lies a labyrinth of old burial chambers known as the catacombs. For centuries, these chilly tunnels served as the final resting place for countless early Christian believers. But by the 16th century, these silent skeletons were about to enter a new and unexpected chapter in history. As the wave of the Reformation swept across Europe, many churches lost their relics and sacred symbols. In response, the Catholic Church in Rome began to excavate bones from the catacombs, proclaiming them as the remains of early Christian martyrs. Rather than leaving them in peace, these bones were cleaned, lavishly covered with gold and silver, adorned with jewels, and decorated with intricate embroidered cloth. Each skeleton was dressed up as a stunning work of art, sometimes even fitted with dazzling golden armor. Once they were restored, these relics were sent to churches and wealthy noble families throughout Europe, from Germany and Switzerland to Austria and France. For many people at the time, owning a catacomb saint was not only a symbol of faith, but also proof of the family's status and wealth. Yet, the truth behind these relics has always been controversial. Many of the remains had no clear identity, and no one could say for sure who they really belonged to. In some cases, the name of the saint was simply assigned based on the last name of the family that purchased the bones. Today, most of the catacomb relics have been returned to churches or placed in museums, but there are still a few skeletons quietly lying in castles, chapels, or private collections. The story of these glittering, gold-encrusted bones is more than a reflection of religious faith. It also reveals the hidden corners, the pragmatism, and even the greed of humanity when confronted with the sacred past. The oldest wooden statue in the world, the Shigir Idol, Russia. Deep within the vast forests of Russia's Ural Mountains, archaeologists made one of the most astonishing discoveries of modern times. The Shigir Idol, unearthed in 1890 from a peat bog. This wooden statue stands an impressive 5.3 meters tall, rising out of the wilderness like a marker from a distant past. But what truly amazed researchers was its age, over 10,000 years old, making the Shigir Idol the oldest known wooden sculpture ever created by humans. The statue was carved from the trunk of an ancient larch tree, its surface covered in geometric designs, mysterious human faces, and symbols that remain largely undeciphered to this day. There are elongated faces with eyes, noses, mouths, and stacked human-like figures, as if the creators were trying to tell an ancient story that time itself has tried to conceal. Scientists believe that these carvings are more than simple decorations. They may hold messages, beliefs, or a symbolic language used by the ancient community that once lived in the area. What's truly remarkable is that the statue has been preserved almost entirely intact for thousands of years, thanks to the special conditions of the peat bog, an environment where air and sunlight cannot easily penetrate. Because of this, the Shigir Idol acts as a kind of time capsule, opening a window into the minds, spirituality, and artistry of our distant ancestors. Today, as people gaze up at this massive wooden figure with its simple yet enigmatic lines, it's hard not to wonder, what message were the ancients hoping to send to the future? Amid all the upheavals of history, perhaps there are stories, signals, and mysteries that only time itself can slowly reveal to humanity. Ancient stardust in Australia. Sometimes the oldest secrets of the universe aren't buried deep in the earth or hidden beneath the sea. They show up right in the middle of Australia's dry, rugged landscape. Not long ago, scientists discovered tiny grains of dust inside a meteorite that had fallen to the Australian outback. And to their astonishment, this turned out to be the oldest solid material ever found on Earth. When researchers brought this meteorite sample into the lab, they found more than just ordinary rocks and minerals. Inside, they discovered stardust, tiny grains of matter that formed even before our sun and solar system existed. Using advanced analytical techniques, scientists determined that these dust particles are between 5 and 7 billion years old. That means these tiny specks once drifted through the vastness of space, witnessing countless supernova explosions and the birth of planets before finally landing on Earth aboard a meteorite. This discovery not only amazed scientists, but also serves as a humbling reminder of the vastness and ancient age of the universe. To hold a sample of stardust in your hand is to hold a piece of cosmic history, a testament that everything around us, including ourselves, has its origins in stars that died billions of years ago. Sometimes, just by looking at a single grain of dust in the heart of Australia, we're given reason to marvel and to wonder. How many more secrets of the universe are still waiting to be uncovered, lying right beneath our feet or floating somewhere out in the endless expanse of space? Stone circles of Scotland, the Beaker culture. Scattered across the wild landscapes of Scotland and Ireland are hundreds of ancient stone circles that have quietly endured through the centuries. Archaeologists have discovered around 200 of these circles, each one featuring a massive flat stone laid at the center, like the silent heart of a long-lost ritual. It's believed these circles are linked to ceremonies involving the moon. Evidence for this lies in the arrangement of the stones. When the moon rises high, the shadows stretch out across the ground, forming mysterious shapes that hint at ancient lunar observances. The Beaker people, the builders of these monuments, make history even more mysterious. The Beaker culture didn't just erect stones, they practiced rituals that, even by today's standards, can seem chilling. Archaeologists have found that they engaged in the practice of cranial deformation, intentionally shaping the skulls of young children to achieve a distinctive rounded form. To the Beaker people, a rounded head was the ultimate symbol of beauty. But their traditions didn't end there. The Beaker people also mixed ground-up human bone into their pottery, creating vessels that were meant not only for holding goods, but for preserving the spirit of their ancestors. Every piece of pottery discovered carries with it the story of those who lived, believed, and passed away so many centuries ago. Today, if you find yourself standing in the middle of one of these chilly stone circles in Scotland, gazing up at a sky shrouded in gray clouds, you might just sense a whisper from the past, the echo of the Beaker people who wove their lives, beliefs, and even their oddities into every stone and every grain of earth on this ancient land. Thank you for watching until the end of the video. If you found these mysteries fascinating, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming journeys. See you in the next video.